Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We got to go, Brad. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. I'm done with it. Fix your pace. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. Two times, baby. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
What is up, everybody? It'd be good if we were on screen. How's it going, everybody? We are back for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Yes, you are not muted, so you don't need to give the Queen's wave. But what's going on? I guess stuff happened this weekend. I think that I don't know. We're going back to this track next year. Oh, that's right. We're not.
Is it actually happening for real this time, though? We're not going to go back one more year and then say,
from what it sounds like, they will not be back next year because it's going to take too long to make these renovations.
I was thinking more the 583 million buckaroos were telling us that we weren't going back next year.
That's a lot of money, too. That's a large chunk of change for that land.
Oh, no, that's just chump change, man. That's just pocket change. But you
don't got that lying around?
I got $1. All right, let's get out of talking about NASCAR's money and give some of our money here and money takes, our little hot takes or whatever we want to give it. Eric, how about you lead us off this week? What's your hot take going into Las Vegas?
Yeah, I kind of want to set off what I think the first topic will be when we get to Auto Club, but yeah, I've always said this, and I think I've said this on this show. There's a difference, in my opinion, between who the greatest driver of all time is and who the best is. Greatest, you make an argument, is Richard Petty. He's the king, 200 wins, 7 championships. He's got the look, the iconic 43. But if we're talking about the best, the most talented driver, I think you got to look at Jimmy Johnson or Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch. That's right. I think Kyle Busch, and I thought this before he won Auto Club this weekend, but now winning once again in a Chevrolet, if there ever was any doubt, Kyle Busch, when he is on, easily one of the top 5 best, as in most talented race car drivers to ever drive a NASCAR stock car. I'm not ready to put him on Mount Rushmore of greatest ever. For me, that's still in no particular order: Petty, Johnson, Earnhardt, and probably Gordon. I think there's an argument to be made that David Pearson should be in there, but we're talking about most talented. Kyle Busch deserves to be in the top 5. I stand by that for eternity. What about you, Danny? What do you got to get off your chest after an eventful and very cold weekend at Auto Club Speedway?
I know it's still very early. We're talking praises about Kyle Busch, but what about the other Kyle? I'm worried about Kyle Larson and that number 5 team. Granted, didn't get to practice or anything, so it is what it is on that part. But man, just from the get-go, unloaded, immediately struggling, and just was done before it could ever get started. And that's the guy who won the race here the year ago. And he was my pick. He was a few others' pick. And, he proved to shoot us in the foot last week. So, man, I'm worried. I'm worried about the number 5 team. I hope it improves. I'm sure it will. I'm sure he'll still get some wins this year, but not a good start.
So this weekend, Kyle Busch getting his first win, not only for RCR, but in the number 8 car, now proves to me that one of the main reasons that he was hated wasn't because of his attitude, his driving style. It was because he drove for Joe Gibbs Racing and freaking Toyota the entire time during his prime up to this point. So if he was doing all this stuff in a Chevy and with one of the top Chevy teams still, then maybe he might have been looked in a much different light. Now, I'm not saying he obviously would have gotten a lot of backlash for the Dale Jr. Fiascos, for the on-track incidents and stuff. But the other stuff he might have gotten away with if he was driving a Chevy and not for Joe Gibbs. So I don't know, just all of a sudden he wins a race and out of nowhere, and everybody was freaking cheering. My mom was at the track. She said literally everybody was cheering. Not a single boo could be heard on that TV. Kyle Busch is all of a sudden a fan favorite, but he might have been a lot sooner if he was driving a Chevy.
All right. Well, I had people in the chat that were asking me before the show, Jared, how are you going to follow up saying Mike Joy needs to hang it up? And and I admit that's a difficult one, but I don't want to give a hot take for the sake of a hot take. We talked about that, I think, before the show a little bit. But as we have at the moment, at least from my end, it's showing 400 plus watching. I'm going to tell you this is my hot take. The Coliseum is going to be a points race next year. Now, there's reasoning to this. I don't want this to happen, but there you got the shirt. I'm voting for this, but I don't think it's going to happen. At least maybe it might. I don't know. We'll find out. But when it comes to the Coliseum, NASCAR's already kind of floated that out there, and the media's floated it out there that it might be a possibility. And while people will rightfully say you can't run a race like normal at the Coliseum, well, if you look in NASCAR's history, recent history, they did so at Bristol with heat races, eliminating different people at different points, using different ways of awarding points for qualifying. So I think they could do it like that. They proved with this race that they just had in February that yes, it'll be a crash fest, but as long as it's timed at the right, or is put up at the right time, people will watch. Plus, the South California market is going to be in desperate need of a race. So, because I don't think Auto Club is going to be back till 2025 at the earliest. So I'm going to stand on that hill right now that as much as I don't want it, NASCAR is going to make the Coliseum race a points race and move the Clash somewhere.
Where were they going to move the Clash to? They going to put it back at Daytona for 100 people to watch?
I think that's the big question, honestly. The fans were very vocal, both from what I saw from people who attended and people who were watching on TV, saying that like we need more stuff with Speed Weeks, like Speed Week, Speed couple of days. It just keeps getting cut every year.
Speed School Week, because it's 5 days.
And NASCAR's shown to do well when they are scheduled to a Monday night. They do well on Monday nights, especially when fans know it's coming. They don't do well on Tuesday nights. But I think that we might see maybe a Monday night Clash the night after the Super Bowl at Daytona. Maybe they do it on the backstretch. Maybe they do it on the road course. I hope they don't do it on a road course because I don't think it fits with the 20 cars.
No.
Maybe they move it to another, California stadium. Like, is the team that Spanos owns, their old stadium still around or no? The San Diego Chargers old stadium?
Oh, God.
I'm trying to think of different ways they can do this.
Is it still around? I don't know. I don't think so.
But
No
they
idea.
desperately want that market. And so I think that, they want that market so badly for points races. I wouldn't put it past them to do that. Or maybe just double up and have the Clash at the Coliseum and then the Coliseum be race 3 or 4.
Come back 3 weeks. That would be ridiculous. I don't think you're wrong. That I think there's a very good chance that it becomes a points race next year. But yeah, then opens up the question: what do you do with the Clash? Because you can't do the Coliseum, hype it up, and then come back 3 weeks later and do the exact same thing. Like, that's stupid. They can't do that. I don't think that there's any way that happens. So we'll see. Maybe they just say, "Hey, we're happy with our one LA race a year. It's the Clash. We're just gonna say there's no points race. There is a race in LA, but it just won't be a points race." They might be okay with that and give that a Auto Club date to. Who knows where? Maybe Rockingham, maybe Wilkesboro gets a points date.
I still say find a way to get Sonoma on the West Coast swing.
Yes.
Maybe they give. It's probably a little too cold. Although from what I hear, it's been warm in Tennessee lately. But give Bristol a second concrete date again. Although they've already put the dirt on it by now, haven't they? So never mind. That's off. That's out the window.
Basically, by the time the night race is done, they start bringing dirt.
And I'm looking at the chat right now, and it's close. It's between me and Eric for hottest take of the night.
Oh,
see, but does that mean are they voting for who actually had the most out there take, or are they just whose take they like?
Are they just agreeing with it?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Well, I asked them straight up who had the hottest take, so at least that's the
That's on them. They're the ones misinterpreting it. It's not on us.
Yeah. Hey, I'm happy with my 17%. I'll take the third place. I'll take it.
14% thought it was me. So
honestly, I agreed with everyone's take for the most part. I didn't really have any disagreements. I mean, so.
We all
maybe we should start getting the shouting matches. That'll get the ratings up.
There we go.
I'm just barking. Start barking.
All right. Well, we've held off long enough talking about this. I think we should head right into Auto Club on this one. And I think the story we're all going to be looking at, the story of the weekend, Kyle Busch. I mean, Kyle Busch winning this race after all the drama that came between him and Joe Gibbs Racing, and then signing with Richard Childress Racing, and then will he do well? No, he's washed up. I want to start off here with Danny. When it comes to Kyle Busch right now, what did he prove on Sunday?
He proved it's still him. It don't matter the equipment, it's still him. And I think it also proves maybe RCR wasn't really ever the problem. Maybe it really was just the drivers they've had for the last few years. No offense to them, but Kyle Busch got in there and traded it as if he had been racing there for years. So I mean, good for him though. I was standing in the pit of the 8 team at the end of the Daytona 500. I saw the disappointment in Samantha Bush's face and the team's face. You know, they really wanted to get that one, but they rebounded and won the very next week. So, and especially in a week where they had no practice, nothing to go off of except for literally what they knew from Tyler Reddick's car from last year, and they applied it all and they got the win. So. For Kyle, though, what that proved, though, is that he's never really out of it, is he?
What stood out to me was this was Kyle Busch's best talents put on full display. Like, it was the end of stage 2. We saw Ross Chastain P1, Kyle Busch close to him in P2. And what happened as the laps went on? Chastain drove away. He won stage 2 by like 6 seconds. Kyle Busch was not even in his zip code. So they all came in, made a pit stop. And Kyle Busch and Randall Burnett, I think Randall Burnett deserves a lot of credit as well. Busch is great at communicating when he's focused, at least. He's great at communicating what he needs from his car, how they can adjust on it. That's why practice has been so key for him over the years. I think losing practice hurt him for a few years there. But they made a miraculous adjustment to that car between stages 2 and 3, because then the opening run of stage 3, there's another long run. Chastain had the lead. Kyle kept him close. But rather than fade, he passed Chastain right before that final green flag pit stop. You know, when Fox refused to note it, they didn't even commentate when he made that really great pass on the inside, Chastain going into turn 1. So to me, that's Kyle Busch's greatest skill in many ways, put on full display. So the field needs to watch out, because Kyle could have easily won the Clash. He came from like last to third in 60 laps. He could have easily won the Daytona 500. He was leading at the 500th mile.
And he overcame a speeding penalty too.
Exactly. So I'd be afraid. Kyle Busch seems on his game.
Side note, if I can say this, you mentioned Chastain. Good for Trackhouse. You know, everyone wasn't sure how they do after the season they had last year. They still showed that they're still going to be a threat. You know, they might not have it where they can close out a lot of these wins, but they're going to be there in the stages. They're going to be there in the closing laps. Both Suarez and Chastain showed some good speed this weekend.
Fun fact on that, I looked it up. There are 4 drivers through these first 2 points races who finished inside the top 10 in both. Both Trackhouse drivers are on that list. So, I mean, some consistency early on.
And I think Alex Bowman is one of them too.
Suarez even said after,
slip that in there.
Suarez even said post race that he was privileged to be able to drive those rocket ships. So they feel some type of way about the team. And oh my gosh, oh, now we're back. There we go. My freaking monitor disconnected for a second. We're good. But anyways, yeah, I mean, he was like just so happy after his top 5 finish. But back to Kyle Busch though, yeah, like I would be afraid if I'm the rest of the field, because yeah, he came back from a speeding penalty, but then he was cool on the radio. He was joking and stuff. He was just so comfortable, and I just found that really odd for a guy that's in his only his second points race with his brand new team. So already having that level of comfort with the team is, in only their second race, points race, is pretty insane. And then they were able to, overcome the adversity of the speeding penalty, and they were able to adjust throughout the race, because it was looking like Chastain was running away with it. Nobody had any answers for him. Well, except Suarez sometimes, but then he would eventually fade. I mean, Chastain was competing for a championship, and then some people were saying, "Oh, Kyle Busch, he's washed and stuff. He's washed up." But no, I mean, everywhere he goes, man, he just makes them better. I mean, it wasn't a matter. I mean, like, I figured he would have before the season. I predicted he would have won 3 races, but now already 1 of 2 in terms of points races. I'm like, oh, it's looking like it might be way more this year.
I just remember, I think it was last year, I had said like 5 to 6 wins is what I was giving Kyle Busch. And I thought, I'll be real, I thought I was out there with it too. But at the same time, I remember 2008, because I remember going into that season, everyone counted him out because that 18 car was junk. I mean, it was 25th in points at the best for years. And it was like
Labonte.
Yeah, well, even Labonte, the last about year and a half,
But sure,
Labonte was in that car. He was awful. JJ Yaley, the best he had is I remember because I was at this race, he got a pole at Michigan in 2007 and then dropped 2 laps down. Like that 18 car was not the juggernaut that people will remember it for because of Kyle Busch. And so him coming over to a car that, you know, I'd say that 8 car has probably been about a 10th to 15th car. But I would say Kyle Busch is one of the few drivers who can elevate his equipment. I think, you know, people talked about it a bit with Reddick and you know, 2 races in, it's not looking great, but at the same time, it's Daytona and 1 Auto Club race with bad luck. So I won't say too much bad about Reddick, but you know, Tyler Reddick is an insanely talented driver. He's not Kyle Busch. Like, you can love him or hate him, but we talked about before, Kyle Busch is one of the most raw, talented drivers out there. And now that he's focused, I still think, you know, I know we came to defense of Coach Gibbs, but I still think he's pissed about the situation. So a motivated, pissed off Kyle Busch, with a motivated, pissed off team owner and Richard Childress, they're on a revenge tour. I'm scared for the competition because if Kyle Busch ain't that great at super speedways overall, goes out there and should have won the Daytona 500. We saw what he did in the Clash. Goes out, wins at Fontana, which is a heavily driver-dependent track. And now we're going to Vegas, his home track, which is another heavily driver-dependent track. No slouch wins at Vegas, you know, with how worn out it's been. Like, he might be racking up a lot of playoff points is what I'm going to say. He is set up for a good run.
That's a good point, though, you made about it's not just Busch motivated to prove JGR wrong, prove the data's wrong. It's RCR who basically said, you know, Tyler Reddick said, no, I'd rather drive for Toyota than you guys. Like that's a good point. The team's motivated too. I didn't really think about it like that.
And here's the thing that you know, we didn't talk about it last week, but what the hell is David Wilson doing going out there and basically, you know, there's some days we'll miss him, but there's other days we really don't miss Kyle Busch. And it's like, why would you give him locker room posters?
He knew that was going to get taken out of context. He should have known not to say that.
Yeah, well, first off, that doesn't sound like something you would say publicly. So like, and only 2 races into the freaking season. So I'm surprised he said that, number one. Number two, back to RCR being motivated. I mean, the last time they won a championship, 1994, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s 7th and final Winston Cup Series championship. I wasn't born yet. Most of us weren't even born in the chat yet. Like, dude, there's most of the field wasn't even freaking born yet. You know, like it's crazy. Like RCR has not been relevant like that for a championship really since. I mean, like there were, you know, like obviously parts towards the end of Dale Sr.'s career. Kevin Harvick was within a few years. Yeah,
Newman, remember he was second in 2014.
See that? Yeah. Okay. So technically, if you want to get technical with it, they haven't been relevant in terms of the championship conversation since 2014. But really, it's been a lot longer than that. And, you know, when Kyle Busch goes over to a team, not only is he going to make that team better, he's going to make his teammates better. And Austin Dillon, I'm telling you, not only was he thinking, damn, like, you know, like he could really perform well with us, but he could help me out too. I'm pretty sure Austin Dillon's like, yes, I can benefit from this. And we're already seeing it because he finished P9 already at friggin' Auto Club. And I think, honestly, he'll compete for multiple wins this year, I think, with the help of Kyle Busch, his assistants. Because we're going to some tracks where I'm like, oh, okay, Austin Dillon, he's ran pretty good here. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had Austin Dillon out of the playoffs in my preseason predictions, but after these first couple
of
weeks,
to add him in.
Yeah, I got to check. Maybe I did have him. I might have had him in, but I don't think I did, and I'm regretting it now because you know Kyle Busch and him. I think they'll be a good duo.
And I asked the chat. I'm looking because I know I have a prediction somewhere in my desk. But I asked the chat. Not if he's a championship contender. Is Kyle Busch a title favorite? And 88% of the well over 100 votes have said yes.
I do worry that everyone's gone a little too far. Like, I mean, Jerry, you and I both predicted. Yeah, you and I both said he'd win 5 races this year. We said that over a couple months ago.
3.
This team was not bad. They still won 3 races last year.
Yeah, but man, I do worry that now everyone's come over to that side. Everyone's convinced he's going to win 6 races, 5 races, and it's like, I hope. Hey, I hope he does.
Let's just remember.
Fun to watch.
Let's just remember 2021. The 5 team did not exist the year before, technically.
And speaking of other Chevy teams, so Hendrick Motorsports was pretty interesting weekend. 3 of their cars ran pretty well, but then Larson had the issues early on. I mean, we're only 2 races in though, so I don't want to worry right away. And also, we didn't have any practice neither.
I know why. I know we didn't have practice for rain, but that again should just tell NASCAR this is why we need practice. This stuff. I mean, was it Denny Hamlin? It feels like a Denny Hamlin thing to say. Was it Denny Hamlin that said it made the sport look like a bunch of amateurs? That people were going out. That
sounds like something he would say.
Are breaking down. People are having engine issues in the first couple miles of the race. I think there's some credence to that statement. Every other motorsport practices. Every other every stick and ball sport practices. Like there's a reason pros practice. They they're the best, but practice needs to become a normal. Like the whole thing they're doing at Phoenix. 50-minute practices. These tracks year to year are not exactly the same tracks. The drivers need to get used to it, and they should not be spending stage 1 as a practice session.
I'll say this about Larson, though, is it could be indicative of a bigger issue. I mean, he is the only one who had, I think maybe Ty Dillon. Did he have an engine failure?
Ty Dillon did. No, Ty Dillon. Yes.
Okay, those were the 2, but Larson was the only contender with catastrophic engine failure. And last year,
I guess it was more a power issue, so he did get back on the track.
It was an electrical issue. And I looked back last year, and he had at least 3 races, I know for sure, that were cut short due to some sort of engine problem. And I don't know how many of those were electrical off the top of my head. Diehard Larson fans probably remember, but that's more than you expect out of a contender in one given season. So the fact they've already had an issue like that feels like there's a preparation problem. I don't know.
Come to think of it, outside of him winning at Auto Club last year, he started off kind of having some issues last year too, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wonder if it's a Larson. If it's a Larson issue more so than it is some others. But I mean, with you, Jared, obviously more practice. It's tough. They couldn't do much this week because of the rain, but for sure, going forward, it's another reminder.
And a couple more things I wanted to talk about too, before we even move on to some other topics. I mean, Corey LaJoie was really the star of the show.
He's in the playoffs.
He was, He ended up finishing 14th after all of that. I mean,
after
he was
spinning
running up there consistently. Yeah, he was consistently.
I thought when he got spun, I thought his day was over. I was like, he's gonna finish 25th. All right.
But it's pretty obvious that he's not used to running up front, just because the way there were some parts where I'm like, yeah, you're not used to it yet, but I think he'll learn. He'll learn pretty fast. And then also too, is Kevin Harvick's back okay from all that freaking team carrying he's been doing the entire weekend? Like, what is up? Hey, what's going on with Storehouse, man? Like, I don't.
This has been going on for the last couple of years.
I know.
I don't know why we're asking what's going on. This is.
Dude, like, I don't know. It's just like Storehouse. Like, I'm just still not used to them just being this irrelevant, man.
I didn't really see how Almirola and Priest were running. I know they were mid-pack when they got caught up in that big restart wreck, but Briscoe is the one. It's not on the driver. It was on the team, I assume, because they just had a car that was like down on power for the first half of the race. He was outside the top 30.
Yeah,
he was 25 seconds behind the next slowest car.
Rick Ware cars. JJ Yaley in the second Rick Ware car was outpacing the 14.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they figured it out enough to crack the top 20 at the end. But like that's a team. That's a preparation problem. If you are that bad, or it might have just been a parts failure that they had to work on or they had to fix, but still it's just they just don't have a good track record the past couple of seasons.
It was just funny to me because Clint Boyer's kind of poking the bear of Tony Stewart in the booth, like, dang, what's wrong with your car, bro? What's wrong with it, man?
Yeah, maybe they should be focusing a little more energy on their calls rather than poking the bear.
Good point. Shout out to Brad Keselowski though, P7 after a spin.
I want to bring
he's also in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring up somebody who's not in the playoffs right now. I know, Eric, you talked about him in your video today, and we're seeing on the bottom line right now the playoff standings. He is last in points. I know it's 2 races in, but Tyler Reddick is closing in on being a full race out of the playoffs at the moment. And yes, there are some bad teams, but there are some good teams that are out of the playoffs at the moment that are still going to be ahead of him. He's not. I don't think Kyle Larson is going to get outran by Tyler Reddick this year. How worried? I know 2 races in, but how worried are you with Tyler Reddick being 36 out already? And there are plenty of good tracks, and there are plenty of guys who can win.
Oh, look, it's only 2 races in. I get all that, but I mean, like, the whole entire offseason, people were hyping up Tyler Reddick, like, oh, this is an upgrade. This is over RCR. This is a way better ride than RCR. I think he's starting to figure out, like, yeah, this isn't the same team. Okay, like, They do have some nice moments, and you saw Bubba Wallace running up front, who like inside the top 5 during like the early parts of the race. But then Tyler Reddick was just sort of in the midfield, not really like sort of making any runs and stuff. Like even at one point, he was battling with the other monster car, Ty Gibbs. Like, look, Ty Gibbs is a freaking rookie, man. Like like I get they're in the same Toyota camp, but I mean, you bring in a Tyler Reddick, and you thought like, oh, this team would take the next step immediately, but I think he's finding out quickly like it's going to take some time. Because like 2311, you can have all the nice deals, the nice brands, nice looking schemes. But I mean, as far as the on-track performance, it can be very hit or miss sometimes. So he's gonna have to learn. It's gonna take some time to adjust.
I just worry that car, I guess that car, well, technically Bubba won in the 45, but that was the 23 team. That car won one race last year with Kurt Busch. And I think at this point in his career, Tyler Reddick is comparable to a Kurt Busch at the end of his career. So I expect the 45 to win a race, maybe 2, but I'd hate to see him kind of in a must-win scenario early. Like you mentioned, he's 30 plus points out. It's early. You got 24 more races. But last year, like you said, he's 30 something points behind 16th. Last year, the 5th place car missed the playoffs. So I'm not looking at 16th if I'm Reddick. If he doesn't win in these first 26 races, he's probably got to be top 10 in points at least, maybe top 8. We'll probably have at least 13 or 14 different winners if I had to guess. So I'm not panicked, but I'm a little concerned.
Well,
the two, like he hasn't had a ton of speed necessarily, but the 2 wrecks were not, he got turned at Daytona, awkward situation. Then he got caught up in that restart. Like it's been bad luck more or less so far, but he has 4 points total.
I'm not concerned even in the slightest. You know who else had only 4 points this time last year and who was sitting in 36th? Currently Reddick's in 38th. Christopher Bell. Mm-hmm. Christopher Bell went on to climb his way back up to 8th in the standings before he ever even won. He overcame that and was good both standing wise, and he got a win. I'm not worried about Tyler Reddick right now. It's way too early.
The only difference is just that's Joe Gibbs. This is 2311. Still, we're only 2 races in though, so we'll see where he is.
I think at this point you shouldn't be able to say that. They've had 3 years to get this right, and technically they should be on the same level as Joe Gibbs now at this point with their standing of Toyota. There's not that many of them at this point. I mean, if Trackhouse can be in that many Chevys and still be doing this, we shouldn't give that same excuse at 2311 right now.
Oh no, I mean there should be no excuses, but unfortunately, they don't seem to have it all figured out usually.
The only thing worry wise, I'll say, and I with Danny, I don't think they should be worried, but I'll give that like little 5% in the back of my head. That Dale Jr. fan waiting for something to go wrong, that Viking fan, that Cub fan waiting for the other shoe to drop, kind of thing. And what I'm gonna say is this: Tyler Reddick seems he can run fast at super speedways, but he has bad luck too. And unlike most seasons before last year, where there were only 2 more super speedways left that he would have to worry about for the point side of things, there's now 4 super speedways left in the last 24 races. So almost a fifth of the races remaining are super speedways. Or is that, no, never mind. A sixth, I think. Almost a sixth, or a full sixth, yeah. Like, he gets taken out of 2 or 3 of those. And that 36-point gap, you add maybe 20, 25 points to each of those races being taken out. Now, he can also go out there and win that, but so can 35, 40 other guys, or 39 other guys. So that's where my worry comes in, is if he does have a Ryan Blaney season where he should have won 3 or 4 times. I mean, come on. If somebody like Jeff Gordon can go winless multiple seasons, Tyler Reddick can in 2311 equipment. So that's where last year is kind of in the back of my head too. I'd usually bank on Truex and Blaney winning at least a race in the regular season. It didn't happen. So there also could be somebody, with this new rule too. Corey LaJoie could be 31st in points and win at Daytona. And that could. So I don't think this early I would worry. I would say if he DNFs like this week and he's like 60 points out, that's what I'm like, oh man. Is that this is when you start setting up who's actually going to be around that cut line.
That becomes must-win territory 3 weeks into the season. My only counter argument to Danny's point, because he's right, Bell first two races really bad, shot to the top of the standings or shot up high into the standings by the summer. Denny Hamlin was 30th in points after Auto Club last year. He won a couple of races, and still by the time the playoffs started, he only got up to, I believe, 14th, which if he hadn't won those races, I mean, he wouldn't have even been close to qualifying for the playoffs. I just would hate to see Reddick in must-win territory. I still think he'll win a race. I think he is going to win a race at some point in these first 26, but I'd hate to see that it'd be like win at all costs for a driver with his new team, you know?
Well, I'm looking at the chat here, and I asked, should Reddick start to worry this early on? I kind of figured that it would be this, but only 54% said no. 46 are worrying.
I'm shocked. I thought it would be much higher in the nose.
Yeah,
So
it
did
was
I.
a lot higher at first. Well, I guess we got more people worried than originally thought.
Well, looking at some other drivers here, or just the track overall, before we get into the big Auto Club talk we'll have, while they didn't all show up, the racing, it's, fans wise, there were still a lot of fans in the stands, and racing wise, Auto Club showed out. Like, that was the Auto Club that everyone would envision as like the track they're going to be missing. Because I admit, going into the season, there's that little, because this has been a big talking point of fans. One of the things that was in the back of my head kind of worrying me, I was like, what if everyone starts saying how much they're going to miss Auto Club, starts hyping up this race, and then it's like the 2017 race or the 2018 race. So it's just single file and nobody can pass, and it's just terrible. Thank God it wasn't. I personally, even though the finish got drawn out, I don't let the finish make or break a race for me. I had it as like about an 8 or a 9 out of 10 personally. There was plenty of lines that were used. The restarts were amazing, 5 wide, but they were able to pass throughout the runs. It was to me, it was anything I would ask for a race. But I want to know, whoever wants to go first, just shout out what you think. Go for it. What did you think of Auto Club's last showing? Both races, even if you want.
The last races, or excuse me, the last Cup Series race there showcased the track's best qualities. Right from the opening lap, it was already 3 wide coming off of turn 2. Either that or coming off of turn 2 on the second lap. Basically, like within the first 3 laps, it was already 3 wide there. You saw guys coming and going. Some of the guys who were leading earlier just like weren't factors later on in the race. I mean, that type of stuff happens at that track all the time. And the ending was like long drawn out and stuff, but I mean, that was a perfect final race for the track, in my opinion. It showcased all the good qualities. It certainly wasn't perfect at times, as you saw. There was large leads and stuff, large gaps amongst the field for every now and then. But props to Fox though. Like, for the most part, they showcased the battles throughout the race. They did cut away from a certain 4 wide battle, but that's
I forget how many lead changes they said there was, but I know there was like at least over 20 of them.
There was a lot of them. Yeah, there was a lot of them. Now, granted, the 2022 finish was way more exciting now, but
also a restart at the end.
Yeah, it was a restart. Like, as far as like the racing aspect, I preferred this one over last year's, just off the fact that there weren't many tire issues. Like that second race last year, there was so many tire issues, and it killed the momentum of the race at times, because it was so annoying, and then they couldn't really get back to the pit lane and stuff. It was finally good to see the track go out without any of those of those mechanical or tire issues. It was a good ending. It was a good send-off.
The only controversy in its final race was, do we have to leave this place?
Well, also too, I almost forgot. And RIP to the Black Cat.
Yeah, we'll talk about.
I guess there's that
little.
I didn't see. Do we know who hit that? Who hit the cat? Did the cat actually get hit?
It looks like it was Blaney.
No, so I saw that the red paint. There was a red paint scuff on his car. So when he hit the cat, it was already dead. So somebody else hit it before then. God. And then that's also what took out, I believe, Bell and Harvick's cameras too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, I don't know, because there was a picture taken by a photographer that showed the cat alive, and then Chastain was right under him, and then there's another shot from TV that showed Chastain in a similar position, and Blaney was coming on the high line where he would have hit the cat.
I will say, this is maybe it's a morbid sense of humor here. It was kind of, I won't say funny, but it was interesting seeing all these drivers changing their lines and diming the corner mid-corner so they wouldn't hit the remains. But rest in peace, Mittens.
Yeah, it's
We named it. Who named it?
I don't know.
I
Twitter
don't know.
named it.
Oh,
I'm
so
just
I named
sad.
it.
I'm just more like, how'd it get in there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
My theory is it was probably just living there over the winter and woke up one morning. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
hell are
you
all
had
these
just
people
one more
doing
race.
here?
You had just one more race, bro. You would have been free.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Rest in peace, Mittens.
Yeah.
I thought the racing was great, though. I mean, to echo everything you guys have already said, multiple lanes. I mean, that's my favorite type of racing is where you can use the bottom, the middle, the top, depending on how fresh your tires are, how your car is set up. I like when it's not like I love Martinsville. Martinsville's awesome track, very unique. But sometimes I hate that it's a one groove track, and if you get shuffled out, you're going to lose 10 spots. I hate that sometimes. Same thing with Daytona, honestly. Even though it's a multi groove track, you get shuffled out, you lose a bunch of spots. It sucks. I like that at a track like Auto Club, you can work both lanes. If you're tight or loose, you can change your lane and maybe hold on to a position. It really puts a lot into the driver's hands, gives them a lot of different elements to play with. So thought it was a fantastic race to go off. Yeah, the finish sort of just was a finish, but it was only the last like 20, 25 laps. Before then, it was still very close between Busch and Chastain.
Someone said that they were about the thing on the track, wish that NASCAR would throw a caution. I just don't think they knew about it in time, sadly.
No.
Cats are quick.
Yeah. But one other thing that we can talk about before we get into the post Auto Club talk here is the giant ass wreck. Like, I'm just gonna call it that. It was the biggest wreck in the history of Auto Club Speedway right at the end.
It was
Straight out of rookie iRacing lobbies right there.
And the funniest part about it to me was whoever was freaking on the radio was like, damn 42. What did Gregson do? He got stacked up. He got stacked up there, just blaming the rookie out of nowhere. Like, I know he was on older tires, and props to Gregson. He was showing some fight too. He didn't have a chance at times, and he was showing some fight up there amongst the top five. But no, that wasn't his fault. Chastain just freaking. I mean, Joey Logano was leading, but by rule, the leader gets to go whenever he feels like it. Chastain bumps into him. He has to check up, and then that basically starts the checkup. So that was technically Chastain's fault.
I think so. I think it was Hamlin said on his podcast this week that like Logano will sometimes do this little trick where he's able to like he'll rev the engine without actually going to try and fake you out. And I'm like, if he did that, that's freaking genius. If Logano is one of the, if he's able to do that, that's brilliant. I wonder how many other drivers do things like that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately Chastain's the one who got faked out, and that's what stacked everybody up. I mean,
I saw people talking about it being because of the larger restart zone, that they're able to play those games longer and stuff.
That's probably
like that.
true. That's definitely true.
But
maybe Chastain thought he knew where the line used to be and knew Logano had to go by then, and then realized, oh shit, no, there's 50 more feet. Whoops.
My response to that is like with any of these big rule changes they've had. We had issues before with when the choose rule was put in, and they had issues with double file restarts back in 2009 when they were implemented full time. So, I asked the chat, and it's looking like a lot of them are saying it's because of the larger restart zone. But to what I say on that one is, it's up to the drivers to adapt at that point. Like they're gonna play games unless NASCAR is gonna step in. But restart games have been around forever, so
yeah,
I don't see a problem personally.
Poor Eric Almirola. He always has something like happen to him at Fontana. I remember in 2014 and Brian Scott, like that was one of the only few times I saw Eric Almirola piss. So yeah, the only few times I've seen him piss in an interview have both taken place at Fontana, nearly 10 years apart now. So poor guy. He was like, "Damn, I came out of retirement for this." Like, unfortunately.
A lot of good cars though got destroyed.
Only 2 races in, he's already man, I should have.
Yeah. He won a duel. He won his duel race.
But it's all good. Free bacon. So it's like, do I want to come back for the free bacon? Yeah, I'll come back.
I'm in free back.
Well, the amount of money he's probably making, he don't have to worry about the cost of bacon. So
yeah. But it's still a long season though. A little long season.
Well, that about covers what we had on track. We'll talk about sort of the viewer reception, I guess we'll call it, with these last 2 bits of what we're going off of here tonight with the ratings and the segment that we'll make sure Darian is timed for to make sure that he tells us what the segment is this week. But let's go into the TV ratings really quick. They weren't good, but honestly, they were actually better than Daytona, not in viewership, but in percentages. So this past week got a 2.48 rating, and that was 4.315 million viewers. Means it was down 5.6% in viewership, which I guess if you're comparing to being down like 8% like Daytona was, is better. Interestingly, go for it.
I was just gonna say, to me, that still sounds solid to say that 4 million people tune in to watch a race at Auto Club.
It's not far off from last year's.
Yeah.
They're both in the middle 4 million range, but it's definitely a drop by a little.
Something that I found interesting, and I made sure I looked back last year to be sure it was true. But both races last year started out lower than the respective races they could be compared to, and we still had a ratings increase overall. So I guess I want to know what the theory is to that. My theory is that NASCAR is a larger core fan base and a smaller outside fan base. So through the year, that core fan base will stick around. Like, the four of us are going to watch every week, and the four of us are upset about Auto Club. But I'm sure if you walk down the street and ask Joe Schmo in San Bernardino, hey, are you upset about the Auto Club race? You're going to watch the last Auto Club race? What the hell is Auto Club is what they're going to ask you.
Is that English? Sorry.
So that's my theory with it. I'm not gonna go and and be like some and say that it's let's hang the banner every time that it's down. Hey, but it was because of this was on. I'm not gonna say that, but at the same time, I'm also gonna say that it's still not the end of the world. I'm interested to see how, when it showed last year and out, how it looks the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then start looking and comparing more personally.
Yeah, just my only concern was the 18 to 49 demo, because it was like either third or fourth. It was behind.
No, it was 18%, which is lower than last year for most of the year. But
and it was behind like what? Like it was behind a couple of NBA games, WWE,
2 NBA games, and the WWE had a higher one. But we had it had 18% in the key demo, which is it's lower than what most races last year were in the key demo, which was about 22 to 25%.
Yeah.
So
which is already a little low.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna say it's good. I'm not gonna also say it's the end of the world though. But that's really the ratings talk with it. We have I guess we have one other kind of ratings talk.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. In my radio voice, the poll, the famous Iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Yeah,
wow.
That's more like it. That's the radio voice we've been looking for.
That sounded more like now batting number 99, Aaron Judge.
But yes,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jared.
Let's roll into it then. So I asked, what did you think about the 2023 Pala Casino 400? And people showed out for this one, and 50% of you said that this was a great race. Right off the top, 50%, half said it was great. We're very lopsided this week, which is deserved, I would say. But looking at some of the other options here, 37% said that it was a good race. So 87% net positive. Then 10% average, 2% below average. Only 1% of voters said that it was a bad race.
Wow, that doesn't seem.
How does that compare to other Kyle Busch wins?
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is the lowest percentage of net negative we've had since 2019.
Wow.
Hey, and side note, did you guys notice they cheered for Kyle Busch this weekend?
Yeah.
Everybody did.
I'll admit, and I growing up as an Earnhardt fan, it was conflicting for me, because I'm like, why do I feel good that Kyle Busch won? Like, I could be like either side, like, or just like in the middle and be like, oh, okay, whatever. But I'm like, man, like I actually like it's like when I was at Bristol last year, I'm actually kind of happy Kyle Busch won.
It helps that he was in the 8.
Yeah, and driving for RCR. It's a new.
I thought your point at the very beginning, Darian, was spot on. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know. NASCAR fans get so angry about so many things, but the moment Kyle Busch drives a Chevy for Richard Childress
in the number 8,
it's like he's never done anything wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like they just want to stick it to Toyota and Gibbs that bad. Like, NASCAR fans will never admit that they are some of the most biased sports fans on planet Earth. I mean, fans short for fanatic. You're supposed to be biased.
It's more so NASCAR fans, though.
It was shocking. I could not believe at Daytona during pre-race, he still got a few boos. I heard some boos during pre-race at Daytona driver intros.
Yeah,
but not a single boo from what I heard.
I
want
Auto Club. I want to get. I'll be at Bristol for the dirt race. I won't be there for the night race, but I'll be there for the dirt race. I want to hear how it is there. And he gets booed whether it's dirt or concrete there at Bristol every year. I want to hear that one.
That's like the last place he gets booed more than Logano anymore.
Yeah.
But look,
I think Blue Jimmy fan makes it right. Is right. The fans just are loathe Joe Gibbs at this point.
At this point, yeah, and
that's why Denny.
All
Denny
the
had
memes,
to do some PR work for Gibbs on his podcast.
Yeah,
all the memes I've been
funny.
seeing. All the memes I've been seeing come out this week has been people just clowning on the downfall of Joe Gibbs over all this.
I'm not gonna say it's a downfall yet, like a lot of people have. No, I know what you mean.
Grade so far.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm for me, it's like you still got Christopher Bell, you still got Ty Gibbs. Like there's very young nucleus is still there, but yeah, like in the short term at the moment, like I mean, it's kind of. I wonder if Joe Gibbs talks to Rick Hendrick and be like, hey, how do you feel about the guy you let go winning right away?
Well, I think he'd probably say, I still won a few championships, and Jimmy Johnson happened.
Yeah, I think Rick won in the end.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson.
Well, let's roll into what the guys thought in the comments of the poll this week. A lot of people came out in force. Bryce Johnson, you got the top voted comment this week. They don't know why, but I feel like we needed a race like this in a good way.
Yeah, I agree. It was I felt it was the perfect send off.
What do you need a race like this?
And now we have that other side of the fan base. No, we didn't. Ethan was the next one, and he kind of echoes our sentiments on this. It was awesome to hear the crowd cheer for Kyle when he got out of the car. Got to respect his journey over the last few months. I mean, some of it was also self-inflicted, but
yeah, some of that was his fault. Yeah,
I mean, as much as I blame Joe Gibbs for like, I think he fumbled the bag a lot too. Like, let's not act like Kyle Busch was.
Kyle Busch
2020.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, like, quite literally may have fumbled the bag if he really turned down a large offer from Gibbs a year ago.
According to Denny Hamlin, he was like, he was offered a large chunk of change, and he was like,
okay,
no.
I don't know how reliable I'm gonna have Denny Hamlin
That's
when
fair.
he's defending his employer and the manufacturer of his team. Like,
that's totally fair. But that story's been going on for a while. That late 2021, Busch got an offer that was pretty good, but not as good as he was expecting, and he turned it down, hoping they'd get a better deal with a sponsor. And then a sponsor never came, and so he was out.
Well, next comment here is another Kyle Busch one. Pluto P says 3 races if you include the Clash, 3 amazing cars. Kyle is looking terrifying this
year. Yeah,
terrifying. Ooh, I like that.
Be scared.
I mean, it does remind me a bit of early 2008 right now. Like, I remember that Atlanta race because, like I said, I went into that year being like, oh, Kyle Busch is gonna like run 15th all year, and then that Atlanta race happened, and I'm like, ooh, this might be tough. This might be difficult this year. Let's look at some of the other ones. We'll scroll down a little bit, get some of the people didn't get as many upvotes on this one. Okay, I wonder who this guy roots for. It says has a number 8 in their profile. JD here.
Dale Jr. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not the junior 8, but W day for us Busch fans. Gonna miss the 2-mile oval, but here's hoping for more great races from short track in the future. Fingers crossed happens.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hey, side note on that, after all the problems we had at Bristol last year, I ain't too hopeful about that.
Yeah. Looking at some of the other ones here. Max, for instance, says, love the race plus a bonus of being a Busch fan. Bowman with the top 10 run as well.
No, I gotta slip Bowman in there, of course.
What? You're Danny's.
I'm talking
or something like
that's what
like
I'm saying.
Darian,
Yeah,
dogpiling, nothing even happened.
That was just a fan saying something good about the driver.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's just a random Bowman comment, though. I wasn't expecting that. That was funny.
Tyler says this race will be a classic that I'll be rewatching 10 years from now.
Oh damn!
Last year's too. I like that Auto Club went out with two big wins.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember another track did. Speedway Anywhere says, gotta love all the naysayers that said it would be a couple years before Kyle would find success at RCR. So far, he's been nothing but competitive in all 3 races. It's just all Kyle Busch stuff. Like, God, it is.
Yeah, that's why we led with it
He's
tonight.
loved. He's loved now. Everyone loves him.
Are there any
PS
Kyle Busch
phone.
hate comments? Can you find any?
That'd be hard.
Scroll at the bottom.
Like anyone who says that, like, oh, Mickey Chastain handed it to him. The cat. It was because of the cat. The cat should have been a caution. That should have ended the.
Oh god.
Okay, we got a few at the bottom here.
Oh, here we go. They've all been thumbed down.
We're not gonna do final 5. We'll do final 3 because, unless they repeat themselves. All right, Todd Taylor with the 3rd lowest voted comment of the poll. He says, and again, I'm going to preface this every week. This is not me saying this. I'm reading people's thoughts. Todd says, single file racing sucks. Glad this track's getting demolished.
Yeah, I got a few of those comments too on my post and the little auto clip video I made last week. They were like, yeah, good riddance.
It ain't for everyone.
Yeah.
J.R. Smith says, why do people say this was great? It sucked. This track sucks when the race goes on a 10-plus green flag run. And then, yeah.
So you don't want it to go 10 green laps?
Yeah. So you don't want to see racing?
I think he's saying
he must be a big fan of the Clash then.
I think he's more saying that when they get racing, he doesn't like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then last one is a guy named JJ saying, awful race, awful winner. Glad Auto Club is changing.
Was it JJ Yale?
That's JJ Yale. He's salty. He's still salty.
15 years, man.
Yeah,
he doesn't even drive that car no more.
Yeah, let it go, bro. You blew it.
Yes, but that was the poll.
Yes. And that'll do it for the famous Iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
No offense to our JJ Yale fans out there.
Yeah, to the few of them.
All right, we'll go into the Xfinity race a little bit, the actual true final 2-mile race, but
we're going in order. Wow, we're actually going in order.
I'm gonna
whoa, that's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest about this though. This race to me felt like a lot was happening while nothing was happening.
See,
like there were things that happened, but
yeah,
that's how I feel about it personally.
Now, first off, it was on FS2, so
yeah,
I mean,
that was just
not everybody has it.
Put a damper on it immediately.
Yeah, so not everybody has it, but I do like Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano commentating. The thing is that you could tell they were just so tired because they didn't even get
cup booth.
Yeah,
Logano was definitely out of it.
Yeah, there's just sometimes he was just
there's a few
on.
tangents I heard that I was like, this is funny, but like.
But Jared brought up a good point. I did like their energy more than the cup booth at times, for sure. Yeah. But then early in the race, right from the beginning, Tyler Reddick, he was just having a bad day. Like Sam Mayer got into him. Yeah, and then apparently later in the race, Josh Berry got into Tyler Reddick. Like was Tyler Reddick invisible to the junior motorsports cars or something? Because he was just getting manhandled. But then
visible to the touch.
But then the biggest save of all, Sheldon Creed, man. Oh, he is awesome. That was one of the best.
Where did he finish?
I'd ever seen. It was weird. Like after that, he was running in the top 5, battling for the lead, but I think his car fell off a ton. He just drove the wheels off of it.
Sheldon Creed with the save.
But hey, props to John Hunter Nemechek getting an opportunity, and then Sam Mayer too. He's in the second race. Wow, he was closing in on him a little bit there.
I want to ask, we talked about the FS2 thing. Does anyone not have FS2? Because like I had to find like a workhave to get it.
You can log into the Fox Sports Go app or whatever.
We use the app. So.
That's what I did.
Freaking app. I have too many apps as is on my phone.
I mean, I just went on my browser.
It just goes on the Roku.
Yeah.
I got it on that.
I just went to like foxsports.com or something and weaseled my way over from there.
Yeah, but that's the way you can watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was inconvenient. I couldn't watch it on, well, I guess maybe if I really set up, I could have. I was watching on my computer while I was editing post race. So it was like I had one eye on the race, one eye on work. It was good. Congrats to John Hunter Nemechek. I thought early in the race, Sammy Smith had the best car. So Gibbs all around.
Oh, Sammy Smith. Hey, that was a funny part though, when like he was trying to get the trash off of his grill and then he just goes back and takes
immediately past him.
Yeah, but Sammy Smith, he looks very promising, looking very promising.
Yeah, that was a very promising, like first, quote unquote real race of the season in that car. So but yeah, JGR looked tough, and for the second week in a row, some of the JRM cars looked a little discombobulated, but congrats though to Sam Mayer with a really good finish. I really want to see good things from Sam Mayer. I feel like we've talked about this off camera, I think, maybe even on the show, but like 2 or 3 years ago, Sam Mayer was beating Ty Gibbs in ARCA, and Gibbs arguably was in a better car. They were toe to toe in ARCA. Then they went to Xfinity, and it's been night and day. Ty Gibbs is a champion, and Sam Mayer, did Sam Mayer make the playoffs last year? Yeah, I think he did. He snuck in, right?
He was
Did
in.
he?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Sam Aaron was in.
Okay.
It-
At least he
it-
made the
He's in.
playoffs. But he hasn't won a race yet.
I don't think he'd make it back another year of junior motorsports if he
Yeah,
didn't make
no,
it.
he was in the playoffs. Now, was he a factor? I don't know. I don't think so.
I just know he's made a lot more mistakes. And I love Sam Mayer. I think he's got so much potential. I love that he's a Wisconsin driver. Reminds me of my boy Matt Kenseth in a lot of ways, but he's made a lot of mistakes the last couple of years. And I just rein it in a little. And I liked what I saw out of him at Auto Club, for the most part. Second place finishes. I think he was second, right? Second,
Yes.
third?
Yeah, no, he finished
Yeah,
second.
second.
Yeah, he finished second. But Cole Custer, though, he was looking like he was dominating, but then he ran into issues there.
What did he do? He brought down the cup luck.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then Austin Dillon was involved in it. Then he got a lucky yellow, and he was up front there with a damaged collie car. So it was a pretty interesting race during some of the some of it.
I asked the chat what they thought, and I gave 3 options because they only give 4, and I couldn't give the normal one. So I said great / good, average or below average / bad, and 63% said that it was great / good. 33% said average, and then 3% said it was a bad race.
Yeah,
So,
it was a good send-off race.
Yeah,
very good send-off race.
And it had a very picturesque sunset in the background. Now, last bit on Auto Club. I know we've been going on for a while. But last bit on Auto Club, I want to ask you guys, what's the legacy of this track? Like when people 20 years from now think back of 2 Mile Auto Club, what are they thinking? Go.
Herbie fully loaded. Herbie's on the fence.
Maggie Payton's only career or Cup Series win.
I don't know. What is the legacy? I mean, it was an ambitious project when Roger Penske first kind of helmed it. And, when did it open? 97, I think. It was in the middle of that boom. Like Texas was that same year. When was Chicagoland? Like 2000. Yeah. Vegas was like in the late 90s, I think. Kansas, I want to say, was around then. It was in the middle of the boom. Yeah. It was right in the middle of that boom where you got a lot of those intermediate tracks sprouting up in non-NASCAR markets. And it had some fantastic years. And I think it helped NASCAR maintain a pretty major presence in the Southern California area. I think obviously the crowd we've seen the last couple of years shows that it could have survived. It wasn't like it was a dying track by any means, but shit, $540 million for not even all the land.
I found it out. Stern tweeted an updated number. It was closer to $600 million.
$600 million just for the land.
I mean, can you blame him?
Exactly. Like I hate to say it, but it's just that land in many ways just outgrew a 2 mile track. It's just racetracks. The expensive part of racetracks is the land they take up. A 2 mile oval takes up a lot of space, and there's a lot of folks out there willing to pay a premium for it. So
they pointed out some good stats about that area. It's right by the BNSF. The interstate's there. The BNSF railway runs through there, so lots of industries can get their freight moved out. So it has a lot of advantages.
Yeah. I'll remember in the 2000s when I first started watching, I always looked forward to California Speedway because Matt Kenseth won like 3 times there in 5 years. And it was when I went to Auto Club in 2020, that's the only time I ever visited it. I was stunned. Kenseth was retired. This was pre-Larson issue, a suspension. There was a ton of Matt Kenseth merch in the stands at Auto Club Speedway. And it I'd never seen that outside of Slinger Speedway in Wisconsin. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'll always have a soft spot for California Speedway.
The legacy is going to be a track that aged like fine wine, because growing up, like I did not look forward to the race every year during Labor Day weekend. And a lot of other NASCAR fans didn't either, because it was freaking 500 miles long. And it felt like it was a freaking single lap. It was a single file lap parade. It felt like sometimes, but it had its moments. And then as the surface had aged over the years, you saw the better racing over time. I mean, it all really started for me, it all really started with the 2011 race. The 2011 race where Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson had that good finish. I was watching Dale Jr.'s hot pass that day. He was making a ton of passes throughout the evening. And really from there, it just felt like the track just got better and better. Now when with the old car and stuff, when they had a certain package, there were some races where it was like, oh gosh, why is this track still in the schedule? But with the right package, it's still an awesome track, as we've seen with the Gen 7. So, it sucks that this track is leaving, but at the same time, I'd rather have a short track than go through another decade and a half of watching boring, just single file racing. And also the most important part to me is IndyCar doesn't race there anymore. That was really like that track's meant for IndyCar racing, really. So if they're not going to race there, then there's really no point to have it anymore.
Yeah, I think what people are going to remember it for, both on the IndyCar and NASCAR side of it, is motorsports in the 2010s. 2010s, when it comes to growing motorsports in America, it was not a positive decade on really any front for the most part, at least nationally. And that Auto Club for a lot of fans was that glimmer, that one good spot that you knew going into that. It wasn't like a super speedway, it wasn't like a short track, but you knew that it was going to be just solid, passing, racing, multi-groove, and it fit both series. It could bring two fan bases together in ways that really not many other tracks could. So I think that's what makes it so bittersweet, because I want a short track, and I think the short track route at the moment is the better way to go about it. Just because if IndyCar's not going to go there, NASCAR's going to spend, like you said, Darian, 10, 15 years trying to cycle through a repave, then is the track really going to survive the way it is? I personally don't think so. So I think that having it go out the way it did too, at least racing wise, with good racing at the end, will at least give that good feeling to fans watching. Because remember, because of the virus of unspecified origin, we didn't have a race in 21 at Auto Club. We had to wait 2 years after the 2020 race, which was, I think, even for the 550 package, was a solid race. So I think that's going to be the legacy, is that people, it's going to be remembered fondly, and it's going to be remembered as a track that people wish 20 years from now was still there, even if it couldn't have lasted maybe that long.
Yeah. Well, that does it. That'll do it for Auto
Just
Club,
past
man.
the halfway point. Look at us.
Yeah.
1 hour in.
Wow. Oh, and right on the dot too.
Look
Dang.
at us.
Wow.
Woo.
We're not even trying anymore.
That sounds.
This is natural.
Yeah, that's great.
There we go. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Pour one out for Auto Club Speedway. Chat.
Yeah. R.I.P.
F's in the chat.
Yep.
F's and R.I.Ps.
Or A's in the chat for Auto Club. I don't know.
A's and ACs. Anyway, well, we've had a lot of people that have been waiting to hear what they've thought. So let's roll into this. Somebody just let me know once I hit 3 minutes.
I got you.
Awesome. Just let's roll right into these super chats. We got a couple before the show from Isaac. One of them was for 2, saying have to study for exam tonight. We'll watch tomorrow. Well, hi, future Isaac. I hope you did well in your exam.
You're gonna ace it.
Isaac also for 5 said, I'd make a joke about Gibbs making my life feel pathetic with him being 20 in Cup, and I'm in college at 23. But after Martinsville, I'm okay with college.
Damn.
David Bell, thank you for becoming a member. And thank you, Eric W, for gifting 5 memberships as well. Again, we're gonna be amping that up in the coming weeks. Spencer, thank you for being a member for 20 months, and NRF 8 for 17 months. Spencer said it was.
I like those numbers.
I get why. Spencer said that it was freezing as heck on Sunday, but I had fun. That's right, he was at the track. And then NRF 8 said Fox did a poor job with the intervals this week. I will agree with that.
Oh yeah, they barely.
Yeah, there's a lot of little bugs and glitchies I saw.
NASCAR Sun 2414 for 5 said, should NASCAR get rid of the new restart line rule in 2023 because more restart wrecks may happen, according to Fontana? I think we talked about that earlier, that drivers should adapt.
Yeah, I mean, if it does happen, like if it just happens 8 more times this year, okay, maybe, but I would hope the drivers have enough sense to figure it out.
Yeah. M. Martin fan for life, thank you for the 20. Here's a cut of my winnings from my Kyle Busch bet. Thanks, guys, for helping me keep my NASCAR up to date.
Nice.
Thank you for
Nice,
watching.
bro.
And
Yeah,
Congrats.
Good job.
Hunter Nixon fishing for 10. Hot take, Chastain wins 4 races this year. Also, Blaney's pit crew is still abysmal.
Is that how Blaney got stuck back there before the restart wreck? Was it a pit crew error?
I wouldn't surprise me.
Truex's pit crew was a nightmare. They had that wheel not loose. Well, they had the wheel fall off later, but before that, they had the wheel roll into somebody else's pit box. That was
have a nice vacation, yo.
Oof.
Chris McIntyre for 5 said, build a 1/4-mile banked bull ring like Slinger Speedway. Create a fan-friendly pit area behind the track and give that track the clash and points race. I like the idea of a clash. I don't know about a points race, but I like the ideas.
Make it a 3rd mile just to be safe.
B1624 for 5. Bush reminds me of a line from American Sniper. How you feeling, Kyle? Booyah, feeling dangerous.
Oh gosh, that movie. Oh god.
Steven DNA, thank you for the 5. Fun fact, before this weekend, the last Auto Club race I attended was the 2005 night race. Kyle Busch's first win. Funny how that works. David Bell, thank you for the 20. Season really starts after the West Coast swing in Christopher's eyes. Hoping you 4 young men are doing good. Well, we're doing really well, and I kind of
fantastic.
I agree in that instance, in the sense that we start to find out really where people are lining up and who the favorites are.
Go and do 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I'll get 2 more here. Mike, thank you for 20 as well. As a Kyle Busch fan, I may be biased, but I do believe the devil is in the details on who's at fault for JGR and Kyle's fallout. Either way, narrative of the villain becomes the hero is a great story for NASCAR and the sport.
I agree with that part, actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
I heard that.
And then Melon Smasher 1 for 5. Time to bring back Ratatouille is overrated. Thank you. That's for you, Eric. I didn't say it was a bad movie.
The sound of the crust.
Oh my!
I wish I had some bread. I would crinkle it into the mic. The sound
of the crust. We'll get to the rest of the super chats in a bit, but
thanks for the support.
Yeah, thank you for the support. But Darian, what do we got now?
Oh gosh, yes sir, yes sir. I hope it's striking me. I hope it's striking this beautiful hair of mine. And it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on tap for tonight?
Well, we got a little bit. Yes, you did get struck by lightning. First one I want to talk about is Slap Shoes. He's doing a short track tour of America. He did a video about it, talking about where he's going to be. And I just want to let people know I'll be at the very least, I'll be at the Rockford Speedway on June 10th with them.
I thought that was cool that he added that to his list. I don't know if I assume that was a recommendation from Estepp.
He and I had talked about going to the Speedway before, and he knows about it because of Mark Martin's past. So like, I know he's wanted to, but yeah, this is the last bit that he's, last chance he's got at it. But the trailer race of destruction, that's what's going to be coming up.
That's one. If I can make it there, I'd love to see it.
June 10th, same weekend as Sonoma. Looking at some of these other on here, there is a new gig for Vince Welch. The wheel is in his hands. He's going to be calling the High Limit Sprint Car Series on Flow Racing. He's going to be calling it with his son Dylan, which is going to be really cool. You don't really see that very often in sports. Maybe you saw a little bit maybe with the Collinsworths working together, but that's about it. Kenny Wallace and John Roberts are going to come together for a race day revival at Bristol next month. Whether it's like race day or not, we'll see. Here's to hoping it will be. NASCAR is exploring grooved tires to make cars, quote, more out of control, according to Denny Hamlin, on top of what they're doing with the short track package too and others. Jenna Fryer found this out, but Kyle Larson is going to be running the 2024 and 2025 Indy 500s, so more than likely we'll be doing the double, I would say. I'd say that's pretty big when it comes to overall racing. A couple more here. Kurt Busch, unfortunately, still not cleared on concussion protocol. But today, the new next-gen Lego car has been released for $50, according to Adam Stern. So for those Lego fans that are NASCAR fans out there, you have something right up your alley. So that's pretty cool.
They had a model. They had it out at Daytona, out in the fan, or not the fan zone, but outside the track, and I was like, "That's pretty cool." I think I'm not a.
I got the email from. I got the email from NASCAR's media alerts about it today, and I thought it was pretty cool that they were doing that.
Then let's see. One last thing. Anheuser-Busch could be going to Trackhouse next year with Chastain.
Yeah.
Possible.
I love this. I mean, no, I don't love this. Let me stop here. Well, I love it for Ross if he gets Busch beer or Budweiser or whatever brand, but Stewart Haas Racing, like, I don't like why, like what, like what, why, like I
don't
just
know.
I don't know how to talk about Stewart Haas Racing anymore
Hey,
because
Y'all hear that?
no,
Yep.
no.
Yep. There it is. Thunder. It's here.
Oh, there it is. There
You
it
were
is.
just too late for the lightning round. What are you doing?
But no,
well, I mean, it still is the lightning round because I'm dragging this on because SHR, man, they need something. Harvick leaves. That's a huge hole. If they lose Busch beer too, and they might lose Smithfield in a year or two, it's like, man, I'm actually worried about SHR's future. Like but I don't know what can be done to improve it. Because who do they go get? Who do they go get? Chastain's locked up. Bowman's locked up. Suarez is locked up. You get McDowell. Is he going to turn your team around?
I don't know, man. Look, I agree.
Supremacy. I don't know.
You might lose Rodney Childers in a year. They're screwed. Like I hate to say it that way, but I feel like they're just doomed at this point.
I agree with what you're saying too and stuff. And by the way, the chat, thank you. Sorry, I was just laughing at the chat. Glad we got that taken care of. Thank you. But nah, yeah, Storehouse Racing though, I don't know how to view them. Like they're clearly not one of the elite teams anymore, which is sad too, because Tony Stewart runs it, and I don't know, Harvick is going out, in his final season, and now Busch might leave. Like I don't know where the direction of that team goes, and we're only 2 races in though, so we'll see if they can turn it around. But looks like there's a lot of work to do.
I like Chase Briscoe, but he's still young. I like that he's got Mahindra. High Point seem to be loyal to him, at least for the time being. So that's all good and great. Priest, I think, is going to be good, but it's too early to say for sure. And then you're going to have 2 holes to fill, both as drivers and now potentially sponsors. Like that's like the 41s. I mean, Priest is bringing some sponsorship, so I'm not going to say it's unsponsored, but it's not fully sponsored. So that's just, God, losing Harvick's bad enough. You lose Busch beer too. To Chastain?
Hey, I got the solution. For you. He just finished inside the top 10 in his Cup Series debut, the Riley Herbst era.
He has no worse finish than the top 10. I mean, he's good to go.
He is running a little bit better in Xfinity, so I'm not totally against it.
He's ahead of. Hey, Riley Herbst is ahead of Tyler Reddick in points.
Hey, that is true.
I don't know because he's an Xfinity.
Well, no, he doesn't get points.
Never mind.
But I will say, side note, I got to say, Riley Herbst, he does seem like he's gotten better, and I'd like to see him get a win this year. I really think Cole Custer coming in as his teammate could be a good thing for him.
Yeah, but I agree. I'd like to see Riley Herbst get a win, but he's in like one of the best cars. We shouldn't have to say it like I'd like him to get a win.
I know.
Yeah,
it's like at this point, I think he's going to end up in a Cup Series ride eventually. But at the same time, I would be comfortable if he was like a Brandon Jones. It just kind of becomes like a legacy driver in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, I just don't know.
He's got the money. He's got too much money to be doing
I think that would honestly fit his career really well. And we made jokes before, but I wish nothing but the best for him. But I think what Danny said would be the right choice. The money is there's
Brandon
too much.
Brandon Jones has always had Menards. He could probably do the same thing, but he's comfortable there, it seems.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know what to say about SHR because I don't know what free agent they could go get. Can they pry Zane Smith away from front row? Would he even save them? I don't think drivers are their issue. It's just the cars have sucked for almost 3 years, and I don't know why. If somebody knows, if SHR, if Rodney Childers can come out and just say, I remember a couple of years ago he talked about there's something, I think the rear wheel wells or something. There was some funny like rule change, but like I'd love to know why SHR went from 9 wins with Harvick to 0, and they've basically been, they've been a B tier team since. Like I wish I knew why, because it's so hard to talk about SHR at this point. They just seem like they're downward spiraling.
Talking about packages, I guess I can kind of get us right into what we're going to talk about next, and that is the new short track kind of road course package.
Wait, did I do my outro?
Did we? Well, let's be real. The lightning round
bad.
kind of melted into the rest of it.
It sort of
it did.
And it's the lightning round. That'll do it for the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now back to the show.
I gotta shock him. I'm trying to remember where all the buttons are.
Darian, just walk outside.
It's coming down. But talking about the new short track and road course package. So Bob Pockrass tweeted most of this stuff out, that the new package for road courses and short tracks will be, first off, 2-inch rear blade, 3 of the diffuser strakes and engine
removing
panel
the
strakes. Yeah, will be there, but yeah, removing the others. And overall reducing downforce to 30% less of what it is now, and at most tracks. They won't use it at Bristol and Dover because they don't have the wet weather packages. They don't want to make different packages for each track and start going overboard with that. But one thing that caught my eye, and I know he said this on purpose to catch my eye, is that we haven't had this little amount of downforce since the 90s. That is bait. I'm just letting people know. When they start talking about the mid-2000s and the 90s, that is bait on everyone who's nostalgic. Just want to say that right now. I hope that they're right, but that is bait.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great. Everything sounds great on paper. They did test this at Phoenix a few weeks ago with like 7 or 8 cars, however many were there. I don't remember. And I just remember they started with the 4-inch spoiler, basically what they have now. Made a few changes. They tried to implement a bunch of the stuff. I think they tried using the same underwing from the Garage 56. And I may be mistaken, but I remember the drivers basically said, no, there was no difference. So they started chopping off the spoiler. They started taking pieces off the underwing, which is what we basically have here. And once they got down to a 2-inch spoiler and they took all these things away, drivers, I know I said in my video today, I referred back to a quote from Logano and a quote from Bell that both said this seemed like the right direction. They were very encouraged by what they felt in the car driving in a pack. So I think it'll make a difference. I don't think it's going to completely fix or make Phoenix or New Hampshire the greatest race on earth anymore. But I think it'll be an improvement. You know, they're still going to more than likely, maybe not, but they'll probably still be shifting. They're, you know, the wheels, the contact patch is still larger. So there's still a lot more grip being generated from the cars themselves, from the like tire. What am I trying to say? The tires are still gripping the road more than the old one did. The brakes are still better at road courses, especially. So there's still a lot of things to overcome if you want the racing to be great again. But this seems like a step in the right direction. So we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know.
I think this needed to happen, though. Like, not
I'm glad they're trying something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not just for short track racing in general in NASCAR, but just the fact that North Wilkesboro is like the next big event that needs to work for NASCAR. And if they don't have the package that can support that, that'll be one of the biggest failures of the last 30 years of the sport, is resurrecting this track after years and years of fan support and then not coming back, like, in a good way.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm glad that they did it. I'm also glad they were able to do it in a cheap way. It sounds like the expensive way would have been to completely change the design of the cars or get Goodyear to develop all new tires, which they might be doing with the groove tires, but, you know, completely changing the size. I mean, that would have been crazy, but effectively they're just removing pieces. And I guess they're modifying the rear spoiler, but all in the grand scheme of things, these are fairly cheap changes. So hopefully they work, because if this works, then NASCAR deserves a pat on the back for saving potentially a lot of money and getting something really great on track. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know.
Now, according to Bob Hockers, they won't use it at Bristol and Dover, though.
Yeah.
So, aka the non-wet weather.
I think it's just because they're too fast.
Yeah,
Well,
it's way too fast for that.
Too fast. They don't use the wet weather package with those because of them being too fast. So it makes sense. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Dover and Bristol were pretty good last year.
Yeah, they were fine. They're pretty decent.
Yeah, weren't bad.
Nashville was great last year. I know it's a little bigger, but I remember Nashville, another concrete, shorter oval, was fantastic.
Yeah, but this should put the fan base at ease somewhat. But then once they actually start racing, I mean, like, what are we actually going to see? I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be, this is going to be one of those situations where it's not going to be a quick fix. I don't think it's obviously going to take time. It's obviously going to take some time to, you know, get adjusted to the package and stuff, see how, you know, they adjust to it, how they race with it. So it's going to take a while, but I think it'll certainly be better than what we saw last year, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that pretty much kind of covers what we got from that. Because, you know, it's really up to Phoenix. Like, just that's when we really can talk about it.
Yeah, we'll know in 10 days if there was any difference.
Oh my God, Phoenix
pretty
is
much
in 10 days.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, well,
or 11 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, season
11.
just started. Yeah.
But the other, I guess one other thing we can talk about, and it's just kind of speculation at the moment, is
some good old speculation on the podcast.
It's the Chicago Street Course. We're gonna say this in the least political way possible. The current mayor of Chicago lost their election. and street courses and street races are very dependent on local support and local government support. That was the one person of local government in Chicago that actually supported it. I guess my question is, what are we looking at moving forward? Because there was a 180-day back out window that would have been January 1st of 2023, I believe, for this race. The city could have backed out, and they didn't. But the runoff, I don't know if anyone can hear that, but my window is getting pelted right now. Good Lord.
I don't hear anything. It's nice and dry here in Texas.
Yeah. Awesome. But there's a runoff election, and one of the candidates, Paul Vallis, I think, is very much like, he's been very vocal against NASCAR coming to Chicago. And so especially if that candidate wins, long term, if we're talking about the 3-year long term, I guess, should we start buying these more again?
I was gonna say, I knew there was a reason you wore that T-shirt tonight.
No, honestly, I wore this because it helped me with the white balance.
They've got to start thinking, okay, we might need to do something last second.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking like. I mean, because under the old administration, they wanted this race so badly, but then it sounded like the public really didn't want it there for the most part. Now you got a new mayor that's about to come in there, and he wasn't really a big fan of it. Like, I'm not saying that they're just going to totally cancel the race before this season. I mean, there's already been a bunch of plans, and again, they're already past the back out window.
They started selling tickets.
Yeah, they've already started selling tickets, promoting it on TV and stuff. But does this last past 2023? I mean, there's a strong possibility that it perhaps won't. So at that point, NASCAR would have to look at some other plans for other possible street courses. I mean, they have talked about going into other markets. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it technically would be considered a failure if this only lasted one season, because I guess their ambitions they wanted to be there for at least multiple seasons. But if they don't, I mean, again, they've talked about other markets publicly. So go look into those.
I imagine because I imagine this year's race is still going to happen, even if there's some local opposition. I just think it's too far along at this point. Crazy things happen. Big city, you never know. But I definitely think there's doubt on year 2 and year 3, and I think they have 2 great options just down the road. They've got Chicagoland Speedway, which, according to you, Jarrett, and people you talked to, is still very much in race condition. I mean, they're going to host a motocross race there in a few months, I believe. And then Road America. Of course, there's always Road America, just a few hours north. I know it's like the polar opposite of the Chicago street course. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's a beautiful facility, beautiful grounds, great racetrack, and the fan turnout the last 2 years was incredible. So will they feel good about having their date stripped for a year? Will they boycott the 2024 race? I don't know. I think they'd still enjoy having NASCAR at their facility. So there's backups. I think this year's will still happen though.
And really quick, JP Labs brought up a good point. He said that the Boston GP also sold tickets, and I don't think they ever raced that. So yeah, that's a good point.
No,
but I mean, this is NASCAR though, so I don't know. With all of this promotion they've been doing, they're gonna get the race in this year. I think
it would be rough. I don't know what the penalty would be at this point for Chicago to back out of the deal. But I would hope for NASCAR and its fans' sake that it would be a hefty penalty to make up for the goodwill that would be lost by many NASCAR fans NASCAR fans.
Yeah, it would be a lot because be honest, and this is the way Chicago residents put it as well. NASCAR fleeced them. Like NASCAR got a great deal out of this, and Chicago gets penalized no matter what they do, which is great. It's great to have this race be run. But at the same time, it's not really great if you want to win over the residents of the city itself. I'm just hoping that long term, when they do street races, they find places that are like very open. Like
that actually want them there.
With Los Angeles and the Coliseum, it seemed like, at least from the way that you guys that have talked about it from being there and others who have been there, it seemed like people around Los Angeles kind of embraced it with open arms. And then
because it's not intrusive. I think the problem, not to cut you off, Jarrett, or the rain's cutting you off.
The rain's cutting me off.
But the only problem I see with the Chicago street course, and I'm planning to go. I've actually have tickets. I'm going to the Chicago street race as things currently stand.
I'd probably be there too.
The problem with it is it's intrusive. It's in the middle of like the busiest cities in the town, like Long Beach. And I know like it's LA, everything's crowded in LA, but at least it's a little away from the city. St. Petersburg, that's not Tampa. It's a little removed from the densest parts of the city. But the Chicago street race is planned like it's right. They're racing down freaking Wall Street. If this was New York City, they're right there. It's was it Lakeshore Drive, Michigan Avenue? It's right there. It's in the heart, pretty much. So that is invasive. Maybe that's a better word.
I saw the top tweet last night during the mayoral elections. There was Lori Lightfoot's "F you out the door" was giving us a NASCAR race, so we can't use Grant Park, and I'm like, that's not well. And again, I want Chicagoland Speedway back. And while I don't agree with the Chicago Street Course necessarily with all the planning with it, I also understand if there is to be long-term racing in the Chicagoland area, if this track is to get a race back, this race has to work to bring more people in. If you want to bring more people in from Chicago, like having everyone from Chicago hate your guts for being there and counting down the days till you leave is just not the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
Now, what I worry about is Chicago had a similar kind of deal with F1 back, I believe, was it, Darian? You'd know better. Was it like 84? There was a street race supposed to happen in Chicago, and it didn't happen. There was we talked about
there were
the race in Boston that was supposed to happen and got
there were
pulled
a few
out.
races in both F1 and IndyCar that were supposed to be street course races that were
Don't underestimate dirty politics when it comes to something a city doesn't want and winning over people who would be your voters long term for a new mayor with aldermen who already don't want it or are against how it was done. So I'm glad Chicagoland Speedway has been kept up really well because it might need to be the backup plan. And I
can't wait.
Well, I would like my Speedway to be back, but at the same time, I don't want NASCAR to look stupid or fail to do it either.
I'm rooting for a scenario where it comes back for you, Jared.
I hope it comes back, but I just I've been very vocal against with my thoughts about the street race, but I don't want to see NASCAR look stupid in doing it, even if it's not their fault.
Here's a random thought for you, Jarrett. What if we could see a scenario come where Sonoma takes over the Auto Club date and ISC needs a summer date then, and they go to Chicagoland?
I'll go.
I'll
be there. I'll tell you what, man. I'll be like, I was telling my parents this back when it first closed for 2020. I was like, I'm going to chain myself to the damn fence before I let that place go. I'm going one more time, man. No, but it's going to be, again, it's going to be something that's going to be an ongoing story to watch both before the race and after the race. It's going to be, I think it's going to get spicy. I think it's going to be very spicy, and I'm just glad that we're here every week to talk about the spiciness.
Can't wait.
Why is it spicy?
All right.
I think that about covers the Chicago race. Let's go to another big city. Viva Las Vegas. Let's go, Darian. Let's go home.
Las Vegas. Yes, sir.
Las Vegas.
A home track. Eric's been there. Eric, you've seen the facility. Amazing facility. Amazing neon
Holds
garage.
up very nicely.
Yes. It's awesome. I love it. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start going into some of these races. We got 3 races this weekend. We're going to go chronological order on this. Okay. So starting off, we have the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 for the truck race. And I don't know if the rest of these guys saw it, but I accidentally, because I saw Victoria's, accidentally typed in Victoria's Secret 200, and then when I went back on the schedule, I'm like, oh,
I wish.
Now that'd be an interesting one.
Yes,
probably not hitting the target demo on that one. 134 laps in that one. Starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time on FS1 and MRN. The forecast, 59, sunny, a bit chilly, and a 0% chance of rain, though. Defending winner of this race, Chandler Smith. Now the Xfinity. Chandler. Now the Xfinity race will be the All-SCO Uniforms 300, 200-lap race, starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday on FS1 and PRN. MRN only covers the truck race this weekend. The weather for that one, 62, clear skies, a little cool, 0% chance of rain. Ty Gibbs is your defending winner. And then you got the Cup race, the Pennzoil 400, 267 laps, starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. on Fox and PRN, I should say, not MRN. I typed that wrong. The weather for that one, this one's looking grim, guys. 62, sunny all day, a little wind in the afternoon, but a 1% chance of rain.
It was snowing in Summerlin today. For those who live there in Summerlin, it was snowing.
That's why I was laughing a second, because I read ahead and I saw 1% chance of rain. I thought,
And Danny,
got to cover their bases, I guess.
Who's the defending winner of that one?
Gee, I wondered. Alex Bowman.
Ooh.
Are you?
He backed into it.
He backed into another win. Oh god.
All right. Well, while we're talking about this stuff going into Las Vegas, Darian, why don't you go over some of your betting odds? We'll put them on screen right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The betting odds on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Kyle Busch enters this weekend as the favorite at plus 600, followed by Kyle Larson at plus 700. At plus 800 are both Ross Chastain and Joey Logano. They had that epic battle in the last Las Vegas race during the playoffs. And finally, rounding out the favorites is Denny Hamlin at plus 1,000. As for the best of the rest, very interesting. All five of the best in the best of the rest category are all plus 1,200 apiece. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and William Byron. And as for the underdogs, Alex Bowman, the defending spring race winner, enters this weekend at plus 2,000. Daniel Suarez is plus 3,500. Brad Keselowski coming off of a top 10 finish at plus 5,000. Ty Gibbs, the rookie, at plus 8,000. And finally, my personal favorite, Corey LaJoie at plus 20,000. Remember, at Fontana, he ran consistently inside the top 15, top 10. We need a lot to go his way, but certainly looks promising. And those are the betting odds on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And before we move on, let's give an update on the NWP Fantasy Leagues. Right now in the NWP Fantasy League, the main one. First, in P1 is Bubba's Sports Mania Talk. He is they currently have a 3-point lead over Toyota Tough. Third is 24 for Life. Fourth is Estepp 09, and running out the top 5 is Alan. And I see Danny B Wife is in P6. I'm P7, and my mom's in P10. So not bad. And as for the other league, hold on, give me a second. Let me pull it up really quick. As for the top 5 in the second fantasy league, Natty City Racing is P1 over the outside line. YRB 89 is third. Unofficial Illinois representative Josh Wise is in P4. That's an interesting name. And rounding out the top 5 is Mr. Maximus 34. So yeah, thank you guys for playing.
And looking over here at the pick points this week, Eric got a win. Congrats, Eric. Which means Eric is the leader with 50 points. Chat is 9 back. Darian 17 back. I'm 18 back. And Danny is minus 20. Still within, we're well within all a race this far in.
Not quite a basement yet.
Hey, no, still P3. I'm happy to just be up there again. Finally. A good feeling.
And that leads into picks. Start with the truck race. Eric, start us off. Who you got?
It feels good to be back out front in that clean air. How's it feel, chat? Second place. First loser.
-9 though. They're -9.
That's a whole stage. Oh, I see the chat. They're talking smack. It's hard to talk smack when you're behind.
Too excited about this.
I'm sorry. I'll stop egging them on. Truck pick. I have a feeling most of us, if not all of us, will have a pretty clear consensus on this one. But he's back once again. New manufacturer, same scary 51. Kyle Busch is going to win the truck race at his home track.
You know, it took some work to finally get back up to where I can be one of the first picks. And hey, you know, depending on this pick, I might be sent back to the basement. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to go with not Kyle Busch. I'm going to go with John Hunter Nemechek to score the victory at Las Vegas. He's won here before in the truck series. He's beat Kyle Busch before, as a matter of fact.
Who's he racing for?
What truck is he in?
The 17, the David Gillen. But hey, it's John Hunter Nemechek, though. Yeah, it's John Hunter Nemechek.
I thought someone else was in that one.
He is. Yeah, he is in that truck.
It's John Hunter Nemechek, though, so I'm going to take the risk. Why not? Let's go for it. John Hunter Nemechek.
51.
My boy Michael carried us on that truck. Go Kyle Busch.
And the chat's been pretty
yeah,
good.
It's pretty obvious. Oh, I see one John Hunter Nemechek at
One
least.
one person likes your idea.
Oh,
a
David
couple
Bell.
people like.
Mr. Bell likes it
Ah,
too. Nah, see,
There's a few random entry like Kaz Grala's in the 1 this
but
week.
it's Kyle Busch though. Give me Kyle Busch.
Brennan Poole's in the 46. Who else jumping at me? Daniel Dyes in the. He's always in the 43.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting
while
guys.
they're jumping out to you, who's jumping out to you for the Xfinity race?
So Kyle Busch is in this one as well, driving for Colleague. He has a great chance at sweeping the weekend, 1, 2, 3. But I don't think he's going to win the Xfinity race. I don't know that I trust those Colleague cars. I think he'll obviously be top 5. I think he'll be one of the biggest threats to win. But Darian, I thought you got your series mixed up for a second because I'm picking John Hunter to go back to back in Xfinity. He had a lot of speed, especially late last weekend at Auto Club. I think he'll go back to back. I think he's gonna have a big year. John Hunter.
Oh, okay. So I see what our mindsets are. Okay, I'm gonna come to my senses now for this pick. Kyle Busch. I got Kyle Busch winning in the Xfinity race at least. I got him winning that.
KFB.
yeah, Kyle Busch.
Are you guys gonna pick KFB for every race?
And it's I'm looking at the chat, and they're all Kyle Busch.
Yeah. Like it's pretty simple.
Does it feel weird to say the 10 will win, chat?
Yeah.
I like how me and
Maybe we'll say
Eric
it for
picked
Cup.
John Hunter. We picked John Hunter for different series.
Well, we
though.
swapped Kyle Busch and John Hunter on.
Yeah, we swapped our picks.
Yeah,
that's very
I keep doing that for Cup guys.
Yeah, I think Eric Almirola will do all right this weekend. But
Yeah,
let's
I think Eric Almirola will do good.
Hey, last year someone backed into a win here.
Yeah. But yeah, Kyle Busch for them for Xfinity.
who
for
we
sure.
got for the Cup suck pick this weekend?
I don't want to pick on SHR. I feel like I did like 20 minutes ago, and I feel kind of bad about that. So I'm not going to pick an SHR car, but I'm looking at other drivers who struggled out the gate this year, or at least find themselves in pretty big points holes. One of them I didn't mention in my video today or in this podcast yet was William Byron, who, if I remember correctly, is currently 29th in points.
Oh yeah.
I can put that on
Like,
screen really quick.
A lot of that's
Oh, yeah.
bad luck. I'm pretty sure he was caught up in the big restart wreck this weekend? I'm pretty sure. So
I think he was.
He's obviously run better than 29th, but I don't know. I just feel like a lot of guys having bad luck early, it kind of just spirals. So I don't know. I'm just gonna throw William Byron's name out there. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick to suck. I know we're 3 races in. Dude, you're already piling up on him. Look, 23-11, they still have some things to figure out. A sucky run for Tyler Reddick compared to last year would be like 15th in my opinion. So I mean, and you know, considering how they've started off the first 2 races, that's a pretty good run, I guess, compared by comparison. So Tyler Reddick is gonna suck this weekend.
I'm gonna go because this guy won in the lower series race last year at this track. But I think that Ty Gibbs is gonna be the suck pick this week.
So
Yeah,
let's learn.
I'm also in consensus of Jared on this one that I think Ty Gibbs is going to have a down week.
Now looking at the chat, it was between Cindric and Reddick, but I've saw more Reddick. So
I think I've seen more Reddicks.
Yeah,
We're gonna go
I'm starting
Tyler
to see
Reddick
a little
on this
more
one.
Reddick. Yeah, I'm starting to see more Reddicks now.
So 3 in a row.
Yeah.
all right,
Okay.
dark horse time.
Sorry, I saw a funny comment. We'll see if it comes back to bite them.
Dark horse time.
Dark horse pick Daniel Suarez. He was 3rd in the 2 stages here in the fall, if I remember correctly. But I don't know, Daniel Suarez at the end of that Auto Club race, I think it was Auto Racing Analytics who a few of us I think met at Daytona a couple weeks ago. Good kid, good dude. He calculated that Suarez I think had the 3rd or 4th fastest like average final 50 laps. So like they had speed when it counted most. He bounced back from that speeding penalty mistake. So I feel good about Daniel Suarez being in the top 5.
Is he really an underdog still though? Like when you think about it,
I think if you're picking him to like contend for the win, I think
I don't
maybe
know.
you're right.
Hey, the way we saw him run last weekend,
Well, hey,
that's going.
your odds had him as an underdog.
Oh yeah.
At
Good
plus
point.
3,500. I saw him
Yeah.
at plus 5,000 earlier.
Yeah,
today.
I
So
saw
his
that
odds
on
have,
your short.
his odds
yeah.
have actually gotten better in the last day because that is too low. 3,500 is a little more reasonable.
Yeah,
my
good
opinion.
point. I'm gonna go with Ryan Preece though. Storehouse Racing. They're still in the men's. They're still trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do this season. Ryan Preece, he would have had a hell of a better finish if he wasn't involved in that big one at Auto Club last weekend. You know what? Hell, I'll even go as far as a top 10 finish this weekend for Ryan Preece. That's how much I believe in him.
Wow.
I see the chat. I see his chat.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of people spam in the chat, and I'm not counting them if they're spamming.
Oh,
I'm just telling you that now. Some people are putting it over and over again, and I'm just gonna discredit your pick. But as for my dark horse pick, I'm serious. I'm seeing the same people saying the same one over and over.
Yeah,
again.
just say it once, guys.
Just say it once, y'all.
I'm not
Come
gonna
on.
count it if you spam it.
Just say it once. Just say it once.
We've went through this for years. All right. But for me, I'm gonna go with someone for my dark horse pick, who for years has been really good. It wasn't last year, but I think this team is faster. I think this guy is back in a lot of ways. Brad Keselowski is my dark horse pick.
Okay.
So mine, anything can be better than how his race ended here last year. And I think he can actually bring speed that could be capable of a top 10, maybe top 5. And I'm going to go Bubba Wallace as the underdog.
Okay, I think it's
a good one.
Looking in the chat, I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, I find it funny. We saw a lot less 10s after they stopped spamming it.
And I will say, when you have a blue wrench by your name, not naming any of you, you stand out a lot more.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you're obviously gonna get on it.
Yeah, because
Oh,
with the
boy.
mod stop, once the mod stopped spamming, well, there was a lot of them. I'll be honest, I saw a lot more 99s when they stopped spamming.
Oh.
But I would pull it. I think 99 or 10. I would
Yeah,
pull it.
99 or 10. All right,
I would do a
pull
very
it.
short pull.
That's the fairest way.
All right.
I can't stop laughing.
But we know what they're doing. They saw him in the chat. They know what they're doing.
I'm honest. I might honestly just screw with them and just leave the 10 up for debate on there. Just
Oh, God.
Jared.
if you're
no.
if you're gonna spam, that's on you. It's the same thing when they
they
voted
just
for,
don't-
for Kevin LePage.
They just want to be. Oh yeah, that is
I'll
true.
give
You guys
them the
have a
option.
history.
I'll
guys
give
have
you
a
the
history,
option,
so-
but
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go again. All right. Well, that's funny.
And
Oh,
the
man.
Suarez train is going.
You can
Oh.
see who maybe
Oh
wasn't
my
on that stream a
gosh.
year ago.
yep, there we go. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no.
It's 72-28 with 100 votes.
Yeah, I did in the poll.
Just and now, congrats, you got Suarez.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
Suarez.
man.
I'm sorry. That's clear as day. I can't.
I'm
I
starting to wonder
gave
if we
you-
know who they're picking to win.
I
Oh, here
gave
we
you
go.
the chance to pick the correct
Well,
winner. for
Here
the
we
correct
go.
one. You cannot say I screwed you over on this one.
All right, now to the main event. Who's gonna win?
Oh, there it went.
Oh, it went. Oh, damn, we're off. We had a good thing going. Who's gonna win at Las Vegas? Eric?
So I'm riding the Trackhouse bandwagon. They both finished in the top 5 last week. Ross Chastain led the most laps, faded on the final run, but I'm picking Ross Chastain to win this week. My only concern is that we kind of forget it's been almost a year now since Ross's last win. Like he's been really consistent, almost won the championship, but he's kind of on I don't know what the number is. He's probably close to a 30 race winless streak, which I know for Ross Chastain 2 years ago, you'd have said, who cares? But now considering the speed they've had, that's a little surprising, but I think he wins this weekend. So Chastain.
I'm gonna go with old reliable. He never lets me down here, ever, for the most part at least. Joey Logano scores another victory. Another victory.
You sound like a goat. No, I'm going with old sweepy Kyle Busch. He's gonna sweep all 3 races this weekend.
I've seen the man do it twice in Bristol. He might as well do it at his home track too. Kyle Busch.
Oh my goodness.
I'm looking in the
I think
chat, and there's
Oh,
chat is-
God.
They're trying to stay away from Eric Almirola.
I don't know. Brer
you
Bear
re-
is going for Almirola.
You realize me and Jarrett are basically right by each other, and we're riding together this weekend.
Let's go.
Gosh.
There's no clear consensus in the chat.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Kyle Bushes, but I would leave it for a second, let it see where it goes. Oh my gosh.
I've seen a lot of 8, and I've seen a few 48.
I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of 22s and 10s as well.
I'm seeing a lot
Brer
of 8s.
Bear.
I say give him a poll between the 8 and the 10.
All right. Let's do it. Let's give him a shot.
That is a waste of pixels.
Let's give him a shot. I mean, if you're going against Brer Bear, though, that's tough.
Oh no. Okay, so the 8 and the 10.
8 and
Oh,
the 10. All right, here we go. We got
All
a
right.
Let's see what happens.
All right, Reed, go to the super.
Okay, they're being smart. They're being smart.
Okay,
They're being
okay.
It just shot to like 92%. It's coming back. It's coming back a little. It's coming back a little bit.
Oh my god! Hey, read a few super chats, and then we'll see where it's at.
Yeah, someone get IDK's chat in here.
Oh no!
Yeah, we're
It's coming back slowly but surely.
watch. They actually do end up voting for the 10. I think they're going with Kyle Busch. We'll
Yeah.
read some
I-
super
yeah.
chats here.
I'm at 150 votes at 72%. It's gonna be hard to overcome that.
Yeah. All right, read some.
Let's see.
It's still coming back.
Hey, look at that percentage. Nice. Oh, never mind.
Oh, okay.
So it lost me a bunch of the super chats. So give me a second while I go back so I can make sure I read the super chats.
And now it's at 69%.
Nice.
Nearly 200 people have voted, so it's pretty obvious who they want.
Well, there's 550 people watching, so half of y'all still
Yeah.
gotta make a decision.
Oh yeah, true. That's right.
Busch,
True that.
Almirola, who's gonna win at Las Vegas? The
'Cause-
Florida man or the formerly Candy man?
Because Eric, didn't that pick last year, Almirola, make the difference in the championship?
Well, they still beat me, so
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. I forgot.
Who do
They
you
did beat you.
who do you want? The 3 chai man or the bacon man?
Oh,
All
that's
right,
a good.
well,
That's a good combination, by the way. Sounds like a good
let's go to the super chats. I pulled up the other ones that weren't showing up on screen. Melon Smasher 1, thank you for the 5. If I get a vote from the boys, 3/4 say yes to a name change, and I'll become Mittens the Racing Cat.
oh
Yes,
Oh.
Mittens. Yes, vote for Mittens.
Vote for Mittens.
No, it's Among Us 4. Like, do we want Mittens in the chat?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
sure.
I'll take Mittens.
Yeah, be mittens.
All right, we
Yeah.
got Mittens. Nice. Gia NASCAR fan was at the race last weekend, and the cheer boo ratio for Kyle Busch was probably 70-30, maybe 80-20. Sad to see my track go. At least we got to say bye, and that was from
Cheers.
5.
The cheers
Goodbye.
drowned out the booze on TV at least. Maybe
Yeah.
TV faked it. I don't know.
Did
Movie
they add
magic.
some extra ones?
M Martin fan for life for $4.99. Tired Blaney and Logano 100% better than Stewart and Boyer. It's nothing. It's nothing.
AJ
for
Allmendinger.
5. It's nothing for 5. Weekly question: if you could host a race at any non-current NASCAR track, where would it be and where on the schedule?
Ooh.
Coconut Mall.
Well, Jay Jarrett, where?
Chicagoland Speedway, the 4th of July.
Long Beach street race, and I want it in the middle of the summer. I want it hot. I want my driver suffering.
Damn.
Honestly, I feel like I've thought about this before, but now I can't remember any of my takes.
What the hell?
Pass. I don't know. Let me think.
Nashville. Nashville Fairground Speedway, and I'd give it Bristol's spring race.
That's a good pick. I liked Road America too. I was sad that they dropped that for Chicago Street Course.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that back, but no, Coconut Mall was my final answer.
Yeah, Coconut Mall is really fun.
They can put it anywhere they want.
I
Put it on
changed-
Christmas Eve.
Change my answer. Rainbow Road, Easter.
Or don't forget about Moo Moo Farms, according to Irvin
Dude,
Alvarado.
Coconut Mall on Black Friday.
Yes.
David Bell, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that.
Cool.
And
Appreciate it.
let's see. I see. Thank you, Tyler Tinsley, for becoming a member and using my face immediately. And Curtis, thank you for the 2. Kyle Busch's heart grew 4 sizes at California. He should get that. He should get that checked out. That is not healthy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was
about
pretty
that.
good. Okay, by the way, you can go ahead and give him Kyle Busch for the
70 for
win.
that.
I just want to let it run out and see how many people vote because we
Jared
know the 8's gonna
desperately
win.
wants Almirola.
No, we know the 8's gonna win. I just want to see how much. Thank you to my dad for the 20 who says, now that Beetlejuice is out, what are the odds of Chicagoland coming back? Thanks, Dad. I think we talked about that earlier, but I think it's went up a bit.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you for the 5. Well, it sucks to lose Auto Club. It got to go out at its best as a racetrack. A repave would have killed the racing there, but it still will be met. I agree.
Yeah, that's fair.
GN NASCAR fan for 2, best Auto Club race from 97 to 09. For me, 2005 September. I'm gonna go with one that not many people talk about. 2009 fall race is a very solid race and very underrated, and I think more people should appreciate that race.
It had a big wreck too. I remember.
I'll have to go back and watch that one. I only remember the spring race.
I wonder why. Thank you for the super sticker from my grandmother for 20.
Hey.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi.
See you on Saturday.
Hi.
Man Dude 03 vids for the Canadian 2 critical drinker reference. Nice one, Jarrett. Thank you. Alex, thank you for the 5. To paraphrase The Undertaker, rest in peace, Auto Club. And Alex for another 10. I love Legos, but I'm not getting the next gen NASCAR set. I'm more of a City and Ninjago guy. By the way, Ninjago is an underappreciated cartoon, but don't watch the movie. It blows. I remember my brother used to watch a show. It wasn't bad. Eric W., thank you for another 5 Iceberg memberships for people. Appreciate it again.
Damn. Got a loyal
Nice.
fan.
4J Blind Spot, thank you for the 2. NASCAT is with Dale and Harambe now.
No, yes. Harambe is holding him as we speak. He's petting him
I
softly.
don't know why that's
Oh
the
my-
thing that got me.
Yeah, it's just so random.
I don't know why. I can do this. I'm a professional, I swear.
You can do this. You can do
I'm crying for the cat.
it.
Bruce, thank you for the 5. Kyle Busch will do better RCR than if he stayed at JGR. There's a air of dysfunction at JGR, and even Christopher Bell is ticked off. I think David could answer that for us. JGR looks like the next SHR. I'm not going to go that far yet.
Whoa. No, you can't go
guys,
there.
guys. They're not doing that bad.
No,
It's
I-
all-
They still have Denny Hamlin.
yeah,
and
Martin
like-
Truex Jr.
And I think Bell obviously is going to be great, but I think Gibbs is going to be a good driver. Just give him a couple of years. He'll be on that
Yeah.
William Byron trajectory.
Well,
probably.
let's think about it like this. How long did it take Chase Elliott to get a win? 3 years.
That's true.
A
That's
long
true. So that's the
time.
benchmark.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs literally has 2.5 to 3
It's
years of mulligan time.
It's
I mean,
Oh, God.
can he legally drink? Is he still that young?
No, yeah, he can't drink
Bro,
yet.
that
So-
dude, he's going to be getting carded till he's 35.
Well, to be fair, Christopher Bell probably is still too.
That's
The
probably
beauty
true.
of youth. I don't get carded much anymore. Crash the Hedgehog.
Even after you shaved?
Yeah, still.
Wow.
Crash the Hedgehog 91 for 5. I could see the possibility of SHR scaling back and focusing on 2 or 3 cars could be better for the team in the long run.
It could be. It's just tough because you sell that charter. If you ever
Yeah.
want to buy it back, it's going to be way more expensive.
Mhm.
So-
Dale!
Yeah.
AJ Custer for 85. AJ Custer 85 for 5, I
Oh.
should say. I may be out of state, but my dad is going to the Cup race this weekend. Oh, okay. Oh, we got
Nice.
Mittens in the chat.
Oh,
Woo.
Good to see you, Mittens.
yeah.
Dustin, thank you for the 2. Anheuser-Busch to next sign Busch. It's in the name.
Yeah.
I saw Kyle
He's
Busch.
there.
I
He was
glanced.
tweeting.
Yeah, I glanced during the first super chat stage break. Kyle
Mhm.
Busch is publicly trying to flirt with Busch
Yeah.
Beer on Twitter.
Hey,
I
I don't
like
blame
that.
him. Hey, they're
that.
free
Yeah.
agent basically.
It didn't quite work out with
Hey.
Sling TV. Oh, they did. Didn't they make a donation to his charity? So I guess he did make something happen
got
with Sling.
something.
Hey,
Yeah.
side note: the kids' versions of the cars, if they ever sponsored them, they'd have to say Kyle, right?
Or they just come with those platforms. Do they still make the beer cars? Have those like
well, no,
rolling
no,
platforms?
no. You can. Those are a separate thing, but they also make a line that is just for kids specifically.
Oh, I hadn't seen those in a
Mhm.
long time. I didn't know they still did that. They might.
The
Would it
first-
say
for the-
Rowdy or would it say Kyle Busch on it?
Maybe
I
it
want to
says-
say Rowdy.
I want to say
Why
Bush
not?
Kush.
Bush Kush. Yeah, the little
Okay.
kids are
Couldn't
not
they-
gonna know what it is.
Couldn't they just leave it as Bush and just say, like, well, that's his name? It's not the beer. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's his
they
name.
could
It's the
do that.
driver.
do that? Yeah.
Real quick, getting to some of these super chats here for 5 from Eric Smith. He didn't say anything, but thank you for the 5. But he did say something on his $10 super chat. 9 drivers in NASCAR history have 22 or more wins in the seasons, including and following their 37th birthday. Kyle Busch needs 24 more wins to be alone at 4th in wins all time.
Wow.
That was a confusing stat. I'm a little confused.
I got it. I got it.
Well, I know the number I care about, I'm just simplifying it. Kyle is 15 away from Dale. And I'm just curious to see if and when he gets to 76 or 77 career cup wins, how the reaction will be. Well, especially if he's still driving for RCR, like how that would be interesting.
But yeah, I think kind of simplifying it, basically, 9 drivers have 22 wins or more in like their career after they turn 37. If Kyle Busch got 24 more wins, he'd be alone at 4th all time, only behind Richard Petty, David Pearson, and Jeff Gordon.
That's true. Yeah, he just has to get to 85 wins, and he's ahead of DW or Allison and Johnson.
Exclusive company.
Yeah,
very exclusive company.
Yeah, no, I never mind.
Ross Crash Stain, with the parentheses also saying Timu shop like a billionaire. For 5, chat picks the 10. Why? I don't. IDK. No, really, I don't know. Okay. Tyler Tinsley, thank you for the membership. Napa Racing Fan 927 for 2. Thoughts on streaming partner for next TV deal? I mean, it seems like it's Amazon or bust at this point.
Yeah, I like to see that.
And then last one from Mittens the Racing Cat for 2. God. Mittens has entered the chat. Meow. Mittens only has 8 lives now, but
damn. Did it say meow after he got hit? Or no, I'm saying.
I don't think it said anything after it got hit.
Too soon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Too soon.
We apparently have a lot of cats that watch the show. We got Mittens and Shugsby meows from time to time.
Hey, keep Shug safe, bro. Don't let him out on a racetrack.
On a hot track.
He don't even go outside the house there, and he got nothing to worry about that.
But anyways, the chat picks nearly 300. Damn, nearly 300. Picked 8. So nice try, IDK. Nice try.
I love seeing the chat. The chat is having flashbacks because they see the bacon man.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to say something here. They still had 20. There was 298 votes, and they had 28% of the vote. That means there were still 83 people who voted for Eric Almirola to win.
Oh, really quick, one more super chat from Mittens.
Yeah, thank you, Mittens, for the 5. Thanks for all the well wishes. Recovery starts soon, dude. You just go on your second life. You got 8 lives left.
Just respawn.
Forget what I said earlier. You could do it. You come back to life. Anyways,
guys, this is crazy. We didn't have an off weekend. We didn't have something crazy happen where we only had to cover some of it. We didn't have one of the hosts or 2 of the hosts missing. The show went under 2 hours. Wow,
that's crazy.
We were efficient tonight.
When was the last time? When was the last time we did that? That's nuts.
I don't know, but you can see.
Let's talk about it for a few minutes.
Let's talk about it. Go over.
We should make a podcast about this.
Yeah,
the after show. Become a member and you can see the after show. Kidding. I have to.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah, a 30-minute after show. It'd be something. But you can see on the bottom line, I have all the upcoming shows for the next 10 weeks. And next week's show on March 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, talking all about Vegas, going into Phoenix, talking about that short track package on Danny B's channel in the corner. I'm pointing sort of in that direction. There, right there.
He's below me. He's below me.
There you go. But yeah, you see it on the bottom. Danny is next week, March 8th. But that about covers it, guys. We had a lot of people come out tonight. I appreciate y'all. It's been a good night.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank y'all. Thank you guys so much.
We're listening.
We're listening.
Or ignoring.
We're listening.
Wait, hey, you did get a super chat before we end here.
Oh yeah,
another one.
One more. Yeah, one more.
There we go from Chase Fan 9 for 5. Kurt Busch said in an ESPN article a couple days ago that after his Pocono wreck, he couldn't stand up straight and couldn't recall the front impact.
Yeah. It sounds like.
And I think he said that the initial impact was something like 30 G's.
Damn, that's rough. That's a rough.
Man.
So wishing him a speedy recovery, hopefully.
But
absolutely.
I think about covers it, guys. What do you say?
Yeah.
We hang this baby up and head out.
Yep. Hey, good show tonight,
Who's
y'all.
hanging up babies? That's what seems like a weird practice.
Enjoy Vegas, guys. Enjoy Vegas.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.
Hell yeah. Ready. What the copy? Right foot down. We had to go blast. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. It's your pace. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, man.